You never saw it coming. Point one day, you're laughing with them, sharing your dreams, your fears, thinking you've found someone who truly gets you. The next, you're doubting your worth, apologizing for things you didn't do, questioning your reality. What happened? How did they twist your mind into a prison you can't see? Here's the truth. You were manipulated. Not in a petty high school drama kind of way. No, this was surgical, strategic. A game of psychological chess where they played 10 moves ahead while you were still trying to figure out the rules. And the worst part? They made you believe it was your fault. If you don't understand how this works, if you don't uncover the invisible strings they pull, you will keep falling into the same trap. Over and over and over. Not just in love, but in business, in friendships, even in family, because narcissists, they don't walk around wearing masks. They mirror your light. They study your language. They shape-shift into the very thing you've been longing for, until you're hooked. But when you see it, really see it, you can flip the board. You stop being the pawn. You become the player. Let me show you how. Imagine this: you walk into a room. You've got vision, talent, energy. You shine without even trying. A narcissist sees that, and they don't feel inspired. They feel threatened. But they'll never show it. So what do? They praise you. First, obsessively. You're a genius. You're a gift. They've never met anyone like you. You feel seen, finally. You open up. You trust. And that's when it begins. Love bombing. It's not love. It's bait. It's how they get past your defenses. Faster than logic, faster than reason. Because when someone gives you the high you've always craved, your brain releases dopamine. You associate them with euphoria, and they know it. But then silence, coldness, subtle jabs. They withdraw. Not fully, just enough for you to feel it. And your brain scrambles for that hit again. You start chasing the high they created. And that's the trick. They train you to become addicted to their approval. It's psychological heroin. And the deeper you fall, the harder it is to realize you're even in a trap. But that's just the opening move. Next comes the most sinister weapon they have: gaslighting. Picture this: you confront them calmly, maturely. You bring up something they said, something that hurt you. They smile. And then softly, "That never happened. You're remembering it wrong." Or worse, "Wow, I didn't know you were so sensitive. Are you okay?" Now you're on the back foot, doubting your memory, your emotions, your sanity. That's not a mistake. That's the point. Gaslighting isn't about lying. It's about rewriting reality. They break your trust in yourself so thoroughly, so consistently, that soon you start outsourcing your truth to them. You hand over your intuition, and they become the narrator of your life. You're overreacting. No one else has a problem with it. I think you just need help. It's brutal. It's elegant. It's war without blood. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already questioning whether you're the villain in your own story. But hear me now. You are not weak. You are not crazy. You are waking up. And what comes next changes everything. There's a reason narcissists are so dangerous. They don't just want your attention. They don't just want your love. They want your identity, your confidence, your power. But they'll never take it by force. That's too obvious. They'll make you give it to them. Willingly, gratefully. And to do that, they'll turn to their next tool: triangulation. Imagine this: things are going well. You're rebuilding trust. They're being sweet again. Then suddenly, they bring someone else into the mix, a friend, someone they casually mention, but with just enough mystery to plant the seed in your mind. "Yeah, Sarah used to get me the way you do. She always knew when something was wrong. Just a line, just a glance. But your stomach drops. You don't know why. Now your mind is spiraling. Are you being compared? Are you enough?" And that's the game. They manufacture insecurity, not to hurt you, but to control you. When you feel unsafe, you cling tighter. You compete. You try harder. And the narcissist, They sit back, watching, feeding off the power imbalance they just created. You become desperate for their validation again. You don't even realize they engineered the drought you're now dying in. Triangulation is a power move. It keeps you off balance, on edge, hungry for scraps. But what comes next? It's the real soul killer. It's called projection. And it's how they hide in plain sight. Let's say you start to notice patterns. You catch them in a lie. You bring it up. What do they say? You're the liar. You're so controlling. You're manipulative. Suddenly, everything they are, they accuse you of being. Why? Because if they can make you defend yourself, they stay in control. It's not about truth. It's about dominance. Projection is psychological jujitsu. They flip your energy, your accusations, your pain, and throw it back at you. And here's the twisted part. Sometimes it works. You start wondering, am I really the problem? You self-analyze. You spiral. Meanwhile, they're calm, detached, watching you burn in the fire they started. It's brutal. But it's effective. Because if you're always on trial, you'll never have the clarity or strength to put them in the witness box. And that's exactly what they want. But not every narcissist uses rage or insults to dominate. Some use something far more subtle: victimhood, the poor me card, the sob story, the endless cycle of drama where somehow they're always the wounded one. Even when they destroy something, they play the martyr. You don't know what I've been through. I'm just doing my best. You're the only one who doesn't see how much I'm trying. And suddenly, your anger turns into guilt. You go from standing up for yourself to comforting them. You end up apologizing for your pain. That's the trick. When a narcissist plays the victim, they shift the spotlight. They hijack the narrative. And worst of all, they turn you into the villain of your own rescue story. It's masterful. It's toxic. And it works because deep down you have empathy. And they use that against you. But now you're starting to see the playbook. You're not spinning anymore. You're watching, observing, connecting the dots. This is where the tide begins to turn. Because the moment you become conscious of the game, you stop being a piece on their board. You become the one moving the pieces. Something shifts the moment you stop reacting. When the narcissist hurls another twisted insult, and you don't flinch. When they bait you with guilt, and you don't bite. That silence, that pause, that's power. It's the first sign you're no longer trapped inside their illusion. And this is where the transformation begins. You start asking new questions. Not why are they doing this to me, but why did I let it go on this long? That's not self-blame. That's self-awakening. Because you were never weak. You were targeted. They saw your light, your empathy, your hunger to love deeply, and they twisted it. But now, you twist back. The final tactic you need to understand is gaslighting, the crown jewel of manipulation. It's when they slowly, systematically erase your reality. You remember what happened, the fight, the insult, the betrayal. But when you bring it up, they look at you calmly and say, that never happened. Or worse, you're remembering it wrong. And when they say it enough times, with enough certainty, something terrifying happens. You start to believe them. You question your memory, your instincts, even your sanity. That's what gaslighting does. It fractures your trust in yourself. But now, you've seen the pattern. Now, you know that remembering clearly is rebellion. You don't argue with them anymore. You don't beg them to see the truth. You reclaim your own. Because once you trust your perception again, the spell breaks. You walk differently. You speak with more precision. You no longer seek approval, because you know your truth is not up for debate. And here's the beauty of this transformation. When you stop chasing them, they lose control. When you stop explaining, they lose the script. When you stop playing, the game ends. But this isn't just about escaping a narcissist. This is about becoming unshakable. You begin setting boundaries like steel gates. Calm, firm, non-negotiable. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your standards. You become strategic, calculated, not cold, just clear. Because clarity is what the narcissist feared most. That you would see, that you would rise. that you would remember who you were before the fog. And now, you do. And something miraculous happens, your energy shifts. People feel it. You're no longer the person who gets pulled into emotional whirlpools. You observe them now. You choose your responses. You protect your peace like it's sacred because it is. You're not bitter. You're better. You're not heartless. You're healed. And now, you walk with a new kind of power, not loud, not aggressive, silent, certain, unmistakable. The kind of power that makes manipulators nervous because they know they can't reach you anymore. Because now you are the strategist. It always ends the same way. They look at you, but they don't recognize you anymore. You're no longer pleading. You're not shrinking. You're not reacting. And that terrifies them. Because for narcissists, control isn't just a tool, it's identity. They exist only as long as you dance to their rhythm. But when the music stops, they're exposed, empty, powerless. You've reclaimed your silence, and in that silence, you found your strength. That's the paradox. The quieter you become, the louder your presence feels. The more you detach, the more magnetic you become. Because you've done what most never will, you stared into the psychological abyss, and you didn't blink. You've become someone rare. Someone dangerous to anyone who feeds off confusion and chaos. Because you see now. You see the game, the pieces, the patterns. And once you see, you can never unsee. You don't need revenge. Your growth is the punishment. They lost the one thing they thought they owned, your attention. And now you are untouchable. You walk through life with a different energy now. Not guarded, but awake. Not fearful, but aware. Because once you understand manipulation, truly understand it, the fear dissolves. You don't obsess over what if they trick me again. You focus on how do I elevate to where their games can't reach. You level up your circle. You raise your standards. You build yourself into someone who commands respect without ever needing to demand it. You attract peace, power, precision. And anyone who tries to drag you back into chaos, they'll feel it. That wall, that aura. They'll know, this is not someone I can play. Because this version of you doesn't chase. Doesn't beg. Doesn't explain. You are the storm they feared. Not because you're loud, but because you're composed, unmoved, certain. You're the final evolution of what they tried to destroy. And now you write the rules. Now you choose who enters your space. Now you protect your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. There's no going back. You've tasted what it feels like to live without manipulation, without guilt, without being someone's emotional puppet. And that is freedom. So to you, the one watching this, nodding quietly, maybe with tears in your eyes, maybe with a fire in your chest, remember this: you were never crazy. You were never too much. You were never broken. You were just surrounded by people who benefited from your confusion. But that chapter is closed. This is your era now. The era of strategy, of clarity, of mastery. And if you're ready to step into that, fully, fiercely, unapologetically, then drop a comment below. I see the game. Like this video if it hit a nerve. Share it with someone who needs to wake up. Subscribe because this is just the beginning. And remember, they underestimated you. But now they don't even have access to you. Stay sharp. Stay sovereign. Your mind is your kingdom. Guard it. Always.